Hello, today we're going to draw the Pantheon. It's always capitalized because it's a proper name, and it's in Italy, it's in Rome, and it was built by Hadrian. So you should write that on your paper. Hadrian. He was an emperor, and it was built between 118 and 125 AD, Anno Domino. And that Anno means year, and Domino means God. And the word annual also comes from that. A great deal of English, Spanish, and French come from Latin. Okay, we will start with drawing a triangle, which is on the portico of the Pantheon. Does it have to be perfect? No. You're doing a sketch like you're on tour, and you don't have time to play too much with it. Okay, beyond that, you're going to make an L shape that comes to here. I wonder kind of if the portico was an afterthought. And then it has a dome, one of the oldest domes in the world, perhaps the first. We don't know for sure. And on the top of that dome, we have an oculus. O-C-U-L-U-S, or eye. And that's where we get the word ocular, which has to do with eyes, and then a triangle, or rectangle rather, underneath that. And then you have eight columns. So space them pretty regularly. The Romans really liked symmetry. That was big with them. So we got 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I noticed my Pantheon's leaning downhill. Okay, you're going to do columns, and the columns are always wider at the bottom than they are at the top. They got the columns idea from the Greeks, and the Greeks noticed that if the columns were straight up and down, they looked like they were wonky. So they made them wider at the bottom than they are at the top. You can tell I haven't been doing videos for a while. And because the Romans, particularly Hadrian, liked really fancy stuff, he had what's called Corinthian columns at the top, and that comes from the acanthus leaf. And I will give you a list of vocab from this lesson, so you can just listen and draw with me on this. Don't worry about the words too much. Now, they all had what's called fluting, and we're just going to sketch that in. We're pretending we're on a tour bus, and we don't have time to do a lot of fancy stuff. Now, you may wonder about this oculus. The rain came in because there is no electricity at all in the Pantheon. It's been in continuous use since it was built and completed in 125. So after it was a temple, it became a church. We're going to put rounded bottoms on all these for the bases. And they were made in Egypt, and they're solid. Unlike most, here, I'll put it over here. Most columns at that time were put together kind of like Legos. You know, you build them with chunks on top of each other, like that. Almost kind of looks like a palm tree. But these were solid. And to go around them, it takes 5 or 6 adults. So that they really are solid. And then we have the doorway, which I will color in so you can see it pretty well. I'm using one of these ebony pencils from Prismacolor because they're darker than regular pencils. You don't have to use anything like that. Then we're going to put an oblique angle here and a step here. Now, you may wonder, okay, so they don't have electricity. The only light that comes in is from the sky up here, but so does the rain. If you had X-ray vision, you would know that the floor slants like this, and all the water runs off around the edge and it's in southern Italy. Well, it's in the middle of Italy, really, but Italy is kind of like the south of the United States, so it doesn't get the kind of terrible rain and things that the rest of us get up here in the north. Now we're going to do what I call echo lines, and they look like this. And they have long hair, and they're decorative, and you're going, why? Well, the Romans love decorative stuff. And then we're going to put in dentals, and that's where we get the word dentist. They look like little teeth, and they're, again, decorative. They don't really serve a purpose, I guess, except maybe to protect that little ledge that's up there. I don't honestly know, but I do know why this dome has carving in it. As you go up in the dome, and it's round, and it's a perfect circle from the floor to the ceiling, they made it thinner. So if you had X-ray vision, you would see that this gets thinner as it goes to the top. And the concrete that was used had patlama in it, which are the pebbles that come out of volcanoes when they erupt. So they're very lightweight, and that's, as it got up, there was more patlama put in it, so it was lighter and lighter and lighter. And they didn't put in the keystone because they were afraid it would fall on the floor and crush somebody. Now, we have dentals all along here. And again, they serve no purpose except to look cool. You know how these Romans are with their... Okay, so we have dentals along here. Okay. Now, originally, this had all sorts of steps. Not anymore. What has happened is the earth is filled in. So we're going to draw it like it's brand new. So we're going to put some of our, what I call corn dog trees here. And they're going to get smaller. And you can have them go back. So we have overlapping here. We want everyone to look at this. So, and Rome is known as the city of the seven hills, so there are lots of hills. But anymore, there's only one step. And the earth is just filled in, and then there's all these buildings here, but they weren't there then. There was a bunch of buildings on the side that came out like this, but we're just drawing the Pantheon. I don't need for you to get all fancy with it. Okay. Now you're going to have to write small, but the Romans like to dedicate their pieces to somebody else. So this was a former emperor, and we just put the writing here, and there's a space, and then there's an L. And I will put this on that handout so you can print it out. And I know it's not in English. It's in Latin. Remember, the Romans spoke Latin. Now there's an obelisk, or it's kind of shaped like the Washington Monument in D.C., but it wasn't there when this was built. This was the center of attention. And we don't have to get all of that in there because it's really hard to get it spaced right, and I'm not worried about that. Just know that it has a dedication on it. It was sort of like, look at this, look at this, look at what I built, but I only could build it because there was someone before me who built this. And you can put a double beam line along there, or echo lines. And then if you go inside, the floor is all geometric shapes. Marble, geometric shapes, circles, squares, rectangles, all over the place. So that Hadrian must have had an absolute love of math. Okay, any other words you need to know from that? No, Oculus, Pantheon, Hadrian, the date, because to me this is amazing. It's now a Christian church. There are niches or little carvings in the sides of it inside that had gods and goddesses. Now they have saints and I don't know. pictures or sculptures of Christ and Mary and religious symbols of Christianity. But it's still in use, and it's in use every day. So that is your Pantheon. It's just a sketch. It's not, you're not Leonardo da Vinci or Michelangelo. You're doing it like it would look in a SpongeBob cartoon or Bugs Bunny or somebody like that. It's a little bit better than The Simpsons, though. Okay. Then you can color this blue. These are just shades of brown. I wouldn't spend much, and you can use a little bit of yellow on that. I would just make that dark. That gives you the scale, because, you know, little people around it, if you don't want to draw little people, but that gives you an idea of scale. Scale is how big everything is. Thank you.